My family always said I was the responsible one, the one everyone could count on. So when my Aunt Carol called me late one Tuesday night, her voice trembling, I immediately sat up, ready to help. But what she asked for wasn't a ride to the airport or help with her groceries. It was something that sent a cold shiver down my spine, something that made the little voice in my head scream no. I'm getting ahead of myself, though. To really understand, you need to know about Aunt Carol. She was my mom's younger sister, the fun aunt who always had a wild story and a mischievous sparkle in her eye. She'd lived a life full of ups and downs, big wins, and even bigger losses. But she always landed on her feet, usually with a laugh and a shrug. We were close, or so I thought. She'd taken me on my first roller coaster, taught me how to play poker, and always remembered my birthday with a card that had a crisp $20 bill tucked inside. She was a fixture in my life, a constant source of laughter and chaos. That's why her call was so jarring. "Honey, I'm in a bit of a pickle," she started, her voice unusually small. I asked what was wrong, expecting a story about a fender bender or a fight with her neighbor. Instead, she hesitated, then the words tumbled out in a rushed whisper. She needed me to do something for her. She needed me to lie, not a little white lie either. This was a big, complicated, potentially life-altering lie. It involved her ex-husband, a significant amount of money, and a legal document. She wanted me to sign something to pretend I was a witness to an event that never happened. She laid out the whole plan. It was intricate, detailed, and completely unethical. My heart started pounding in my chest. Every instinct I had was telling me this was a terrible, horrible idea. "Aunt Carol," I stammered, I can't do that. "That's fraud." The line went silent for a moment. Then her voice changed. The vulnerability was gone, replaced by a steely edge. "It's not fraud," she snapped. "It's just rearranging the truth a little for family. You're family, aren't you?" The pressure was immense. She started listing all the things she'd done for me over the years. The roller coaster, the poker lessons, the birthday money, it all came up. She painted a picture of herself as a victim, backed into a corner by her greedy ex-husband. She said I was her only hope, the only one she could trust to help her get what she deserved. It was masterful manipulation. She made me feel guilty, ungrateful, selfish. She was my family, my fun Aunt Carol, and she was in trouble. How could I say no? I spent the rest of the night tossing and turning, my stomach in knots. One part of me wanted to help. Family helps family, right? That's what we're taught. But the other part, the responsible part that my family always praised, knew this was a line I couldn't cross. A lie like that, it doesn't just go away, it grows, it tangles, it consumes everything around it. If I did this, what would be the next small favor? Where would it end? The trust I had in my own judgment, my own moral compass, was being put to the ultimate test. The next morning, I was exhausted. My phone buzzed with a text from her. "So, are you going to help me or not?" My fingers hovered over the keyboard. One typed and deleted a dozen different replies. I thought about calling my mom, but I knew that would just drag her into the middle of an impossible situation. This was my decision to make. I thought about the potential consequences. Legal trouble was the obvious one, but what about the personal cost? If I did this, our relationship would be forever changed. It would be built on a secret, a lie, and if I said no, I risked destroying my relationship with her completely. I might become the villain in her story, the ungrateful niece who turned her back when she needed help. I felt trapped. It seemed like there was no right answer, no way to get out of this without causing pain. That's the thing about these situations, isn't it? They force you to choose between your values and your relationships. And sometimes those two things feel mutually exclusive. It's an impossible choice, and I had to make it. I finally took a deep breath and called her. I decided that honesty, no matter how difficult, was the only real path forward. I had to be true to myself. When she answered, I just said it. "Aunt Carol, I love you, but I can't do what you're asking. It's wrong, and I won't lie for you. I can't be a part of it." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. It stretched for what felt like an eternity. I could practically hear the gears turning in her head, the disappointment hardening into anger. Then she finally spoke, and her voice was colder than I'd ever heard it. "I see," she said. "I guess I know where I stand. Don't call me again," and then she hung up. Just like that. Decades of memories, laughter, and family connection severed by a single click. The finality of it hit me like a physical blow. I just sat there holding the phone, tears streaming down my face. I had done the right thing, I knew I had. But it didn't feel like a victory. It felt like a profound loss. In the weeks that followed, the silence from her side of the family was absolute. At family gatherings, if she was there, she'd look right through me. Other relatives who had heard her version of the story would give me cold looks. I was painted as the bad guy. It was incredibly isolating and painful. I second-guessed my decision 100 times. Was I too rigid? Should I have just helped her? Maybe the lie wasn't as big a deal as I'd made it out to be. These doubts ate at me. But then, about 6 months later, the truth came out. Her ex-husband's lawyer uncovered the full extent of her scheme, not just the lies she wanted me to tell, but several others. The situation was far worse than she had led me to believe. She faced serious legal repercussions. Had I gone along with her plan, I would have been right there with her, facing charges, my own life and reputation in tatters. Seeing it all unfold, I finally felt a sense of relief. My gut instinct had been right. My refusal wasn't an act of betrayal. It was an act of self-preservation. It was also a painful lesson about boundaries. Family is incredibly important, but your relationship with yourself, your integrity is important too. You can't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, even if they're family. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no. Saying no to an unhealthy request protects you, and in a strange way, it respects the other person enough to not enable their destructive behavior. It took a long time for things to even begin to heal. My aunt eventually had to face the consequences of her actions, and it was a long, difficult road for her. We don't have the relationship we once had. The old carefree fun is gone, replaced by something more cautious and scarred. But we do talk now occasionally. The anger has faded, and I think, in her own way, she understands why I did what I did. Or at least, I hope she does. I learned that doing the right thing isn't always easy, and it doesn't always come with a reward. Sometimes it costs you something. But your integrity, your peace of mind, that's priceless. You can't put a number on it. This whole ordeal really forced me to redefine what family means to me. It's not just about unconditional support, no matter what. It's also about holding each other accountable, about wanting the best for each other, even if that means making difficult choices that cause short-term pain. True loyalty isn't blind agreement. It's caring enough to tell someone the hard truth. It's refusing to be an accomplice in their self-destruction. I had to learn to stand firm in my values, even when faced with emotional blackmail and the potential loss of a cherished relationship. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And while I mourn the easy, happy relationship I used to have with my aunt, I don't regret my decision. I can look myself in the mirror and know that I stayed true to who I am. At the end of the day, that's a foundation you can build your life on. It's a quiet strength that no one can ever take away from you. Have you ever been in a situation like this? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for listening to my story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.